Sousa Show. Sports.
Nobody tells our stories better than our clients.
The difference is stark. I was rear-ended at a stop. I thought I was fine, and then once I got home, I realized it's a lot worse than I thought. I ended up having a ruptured disc. You say you're not hurting, and then an hour later, you're saying you're in all this pain. I just felt like most people would think that I was lying. And that's when I decided to call Daniel Stark. I owe a lot to Daniel Stark. They really got me what I deserved.
The difference is stark.
We definitely love our relationship and love Extraco. It's been an amazing experience.
They made the PPP process easier. They were reaching out to me saying, what can I do to help you? That made a huge difference because my stress level, when we shut down, to afterwards was night and day.
Our experience with Extraco has been phenomenal since the very beginning, so we love Extraco.
Tervis is all about staying hydrated with style and durability. You can trust Tervis tumblers to keep your drinks the perfect temperature, hot or cold, for hours. From the classic insulated tumblers to sleek stainless steel water bottles, each product is built to last and comes in endless designs to match your personality. Stay refreshed and express yourself with Tervis. Visit tervis.com today and find your perfect tumbler.
Since our founding, we've been revolutionizing hair removal with cutting-edge technology and a commitment to empowerment. The U-Like Air 3, launched in 2023, ushers in a new era of sapphire ice cooling technology, offering nearly painless hair reduction in just 3 weeks. Experience the future of hair removal today at ulike.com, because at Ulike, beauty is about looking and feeling good. That's ulike.com. Ulike. With Ease US, make studio quality voiceovers for your videos online in over 149 languages and dialects, featuring 468 natural AI voices. Customize the volume, mood, and pauses to perfectly match your content. Plus, capture high quality videos with no watermark. Record your screen, webcam, and voice, and save them instantly to your computer. Never been easier to create professional grade videos and voiceovers. Try it today at easeus.com. That's EASEUS.com. Ease US.
Just use AMP-Pace.
AMP-Pace.
It is the Pete Sousa Show on a Friday. We are live here in Central Texas, getting ready for Memorial Day weekend. Big weekend. A lot of people like to go out and have fun. Some people have too much fun. If you're one of those people, just remember, I want you to hear this voice. On Tuesday morning, when you're getting up and going to work and you're contemplating wiping yourself off the planet, just remember that will pass, okay? After these big weekends, we have rough mornings, and you will get through it, okay? But be careful. Don't go too crazy over the weekend. If that didn't apply to you, you know who you are. You'll be watching some good sports over the weekend, including the NBA playoffs. Today's show, we're going to talk a little about the playoffs. We're also going to celebrate around the horn. Scotty Swingler is like, I don't know, man. We got him on like 24-hour. What do they call that? Like around the clock watch. Like,
Yeah, like
we got to keep an eye on him.
welfare checks.
Yeah. Scotty is definitely very emotional about around the horn. And I don't want to together. No, but I would like if you keep it together. That's fine. What are we echoing here?
Yeah,
we got a little feedback. See, Scotty is out of sorts this morning.
I'll fix it.
He's going to keep us going all morning long. We'll get to him and around the horn in a little bit. We go around the horn. I mentioned we'll have King McClure in the second block of the show. I want to talk Big 12 offseason basketball. Of course, King with ESPN and Baylor great, Big 12 great, and a buddy of mine. And long overdue. Stoked to have him join us here in the chat today. I begin with, I was walking, I got this shirt. You get a new shirt, and I'm still like a 14-year-old. I get my new shirt, I open it up, and I wave it out, and I put it on a chair. This is last night. I'm like, I think I'm going to wear this tomorrow. And it's one of those numbers where, like, I know it's too new to wear, but I, like, didn't really want to even look at it so close. I was like, it'll be fine. Should I put it in the dryer with a wet washcloth like my dad told me to do? Yeah, I probably should have, but I didn't. And so then I walked in this morning, and there's like a mirror out here by the elevators. And I was like, bro, you look like a clown. But I can tell you there's an interesting story, and I was thinking about this. So this is one of those cricket shirts, which I really like, by the way. It's just they fit well. I like the collars. The problem with shirts like this is you really can't. They're nice shirts, so on the back end, you can't just throw them in the washer, right? You gotta give it a little TLC. Like it said, wash in warm water with similar colors. A bunch of stuff I'll never do. Anyways, but I remember, like, it brought me to this memory. I was doing a Baylor football game, and we had to. I had on a blue long sleeve cricket shirt because I like my shirt. I like my navy blue. I'm gonna put my best foot out there. It's week 1 of the college football season. We're meeting with the coaches today, and I'm going to meet with Dave Aranda. And so we're sitting in the meeting room, and here comes Baylor's head coach, Dave Aranda, into the room. It's me and my ESPN cohorts getting ready for a chat with Coach Aranda about the first game. I think they're playing Texas State maybe. First game, I'm with NFLer Chad Brown, and Coach Aranda walks in, and he has on a blue cricket shirt. And right away, I'm like, dude, he looks so much better than me in his cricket shirt. I'm like, fuck. Like, Coach Aranda's got it all over me. And then I moved into because you know how you do that? You kind of like let that dark passenger take over. Like, God, we have the same shirt, and he looks so much cooler. And then the whole thought process kicked off because his was new like this, too. It had the lines in it. So I was like, and Scotty, I can maybe use you for this. How do you think, knowing Dave Aranda like you do, and sports and coaches like you do and like I do, how do you think that goes down? Like, Dave Aranda, now, does his wife just go out and just get, hey, like, Dave, this is going to look good on you? Like, I can't even think that Dave is perusing the World Wide Web.
Yeah, so when you say knowing Dave Aranda like you do, to be clear, I don't know Dave Aranda personally. I just want to make that clear.
Nobody does, dude. Nobody does. I don't know.
But based on what I understand about him, yeah, he's all football.
So he doesn't do any of that.
Do you know, though, he carries 3 journals everywhere he goes that he writes things down in?
No way.
Did you know this? I don't remember what the third one is, which kind of ruins me mentioning that. But he's got one journal that's all football. And so anytime he has a new football idea or he hears about a concept, he immediately writes it down. Another one is like his life spirituality, like quote book. And anytime he hears something or thinks of something or receives something he wants to keep, he writes it down. And then he has a third one. He carries like 3 notebooks around with him everywhere he goes. All that to say, I don't think he's shopping for clothes.
I don't think so either, but I always get a kick out of that, like how these guys, and that's why it's so important to have like a solid partner and an understanding of what the partnership looks like, I guess. So that's a pretty interesting thing I was thinking about this morning. Another thing I was thinking about was the NBA playoffs and the great disparity between the Eastern Conference Finals and the Western Conference Finals as far as an interest level. Truth be told, I kept my eye on the game last night. Before the game, I was mulling over possibly betting it, okay? And I have bet on the Thunder a couple times this postseason, and every time they've covered. And I thought to myself, this is probably easy money. They won by 26 on Monday or Tuesday, I guess it was. The spread was 7. I was like, this team is so good. They're just going to take care of business, right? And they did, but of course I didn't bet it. So while this is going on, while the game is going on in the background, though, I really am like, man. And I heard earlier this week that the ratings for Tuesday night's first game 1 of the Western Conference Finals that we're talking about was the lowest rated game for the Western Conference Finals in the past 15 years in the NBA. And I asked Scotty when I came up here, and not to be a dick because I didn't know, like, who's Oklahoma City's head coach? Mark Dagnall. Like, right? Like, but really, who knows that? Chris Finch, I think, is the Timberwolves head coach, if I'm not mistaken. You see my point, though? Is it Chris something? Hold on. I don't know. Might not be right. Timberwolves head coach. Yeah, it's Chris Finch. Why you got me second guessing myself? So it's Chris Finch. But here are two guys, right? Particularly Chris Finch, and I'm going to die on this hill. In their tracksuits, right? They look kind of like schleps, right? They look like, not so much Dagnall as Finch. And it's not a knock on his, like, physical build. Like, he's at a phase in his life where the guy just shouldn't be running around in a sweatsuit all day. But okay, that's what you do for your biggest appointment of the day is you wear a sweatsuit. And I believe that a guy like Chris Finch, could you imagine if Chris Finch was like a snazzy dresser? Like, we'd all know who Chris Finch is. We'd all know who Mark Dagnall is. These guys got to go back to wearing suits, and it's got to happen soon because two things. One, they're allowing themselves to get in worse and worse shape because they don't have to wear any fitted suits anymore, right? And two, they can sometimes, some of them, look slovenly. And it's not an attractive look for the NBA, and it takes away from some of the cachet that Pat Riley, Chuck Daly, Larry Brown, Bernie Bickerstaff, Lenny Wilkins, I mean, you name it, man. Those guys were so smooth. We remember them because they were smooth. We remember Pop for his bad double-breasted suits, but we still loved him. Give me something more with the dress code in the NBA. By the way, the Thunder won last night. So there's some more I want to get to later in the show. We'll do the college football playoff too, but this is a big day for Scotty. And around the horn, it's its last episode now. And Scotty, I swear, I'm not going to be a prick about this, but you are officially the only person I know, and I like you a lot. You're the only person I know that is upset about Around the Horn going off the air.
Well,
so tell me why.
That surprises me. You should reach out to more of your journalist buddies.
Tell me why. Tell me why Around the Horn means so much to you.
Yeah, and I texted some buddies about this just to corroborate that my experience was not unique. And
I wasn't on the chain.
And it was
obviously.
not, right? So Around the Horn's been around 23 years, and I am 32 years old. So since I was 8 or 9 years old, Around the Horn's been on TV. This was mandatory after-school viewing for me, starting in about 4th or 5th grade. I would get home from school about 4 o'clock, and it was immediately, if I could get my hands on the remote, Around the Horn and PTI. That's how I got hooked on sports media, sports content, professional sports outside of, I grew up watching the Rangers and the Cowboys, but outside of that little bubble, totally Around the Horn was one of my gateways into this sports media world. And as I started becoming interested in doing this as a career, Around the Horn is so unique because it highlights journalists. It gave these newspaper columnists and writers this platform to demonstrate their acuity, to give you stories from where it's happening, whether it's Chicago, New York. I was introduced to Tim Kalishaw through Around the Horn to get my Dallas stuff, but also Jackie McMullen, Woody Page, right? All these legendary writers I got to know and started consuming their content because I was exposed to them on Around the Horn. So I think it's really unique in that perspective. They were doing the debate thing better than First Take or anyone else way before the debate format kind of overtook the network.
Yeah.
I think Tony Reale, I've watched several interviews
let's
with him
talk
this
about
week.
your boy Reale.
Yeah. I've watched several interviews with him in this week talking about this. I think he is uniquely charismatic and gifted and optimistic in a way that's attractive and makes him a good host. I told you, just to get all my vents out of the way, I'm a little pissed off that supposedly he went to ESPN saying, hey, can we move towards YouTube? Can we modify the show? Can I do more to make it better? And they were like, nah, we're cool. And then kind of behind his back, they were getting ready to take it off the air, even though it's still doing really good ratings for an afternoon block.
Good?
According to I think Washington Post article I read, it is still doing really good ratings.
And by the way, I can say this. I don't know how ESPN operates with that. That's something I know nothing about. Like, I know about my little corner of the world over there. But a lot of times, like, let's say in local markets, whether like in Philadelphia, we had the great sports debate, right? That would be on Prism, our like local sports channel. And then it was on Comcast Sports Network. And another iteration, the name had changed, but it was a bunch of journalists sitting around yelling about sports. But it was clear to me those guys didn't get paid. It was like a promotional opportunity for them. And every sports writer, especially back then, wants to crawl out of their cave and be on TV.
Yeah.
So I don't even know. My point is, I don't know how much overhead went into Around
I don't
the Horn.
either.
I can't imagine it was like an expensive show.
I do know Tony Reale.
Obviously, he's salary.
This was in the Washington Post article I read. He has not taken a raise in a long time and is actually making still less than $1 million a year because he wanted to keep the show on the air. I did read that Woody Page has actually made more money off that show than Tony Reale because they pay him so much per episode. Okay. And he's obviously on just about.
Woody was part of the first crew.
He's been on the whole way.
2003?
Yeah, somewhere in there. He's been 2002, I think.
2002 it started, right?
Yeah.
So he was part of the original
He's been
cast.
on the whole way, right. So second most appearances and second most wins is Tim Calishaw from Dallas.
Now, that's our guy.
Yeah.
Calishaw is amazing. I love Calishaw because he's sober, but also Calishaw is – I did feel, and this is like the get off my lawn.
Yeah, come on.
This is the get off my lawn.
Come on.
I felt like we lost some of the TJ Simers or the like you said, Woody Pages or the Ron Borges, old guy from Boston, like some of the crusty guys for this new wave of writers who, for whatever the reason, and because times are different, the show took on a more political tone, and time over time, and a lot of times, every time you were giving somebody their final, what was it called, like the last whatever.
FaceTime, right?
Your FaceTime,
or the last word or whatever.
Whatever it was, like they go on a 30-second political rant. Like, and I'll tell you, look no further than, and this is a great example of how, like, I don't let politics, like, or try not to, like, eat me up. So I love Kate Fagan. She was a beat writer for the Sixers when I worked in Philly. Kate and I are definitely, like, probably not aligned politically. And the last episode she was on, she talked about trans kids should play. Like, I don't agree with that, but, like, I still love Kate. And I'm just like, you know what? But I think that type of voice can be like just totally hyperbolic for some people at home.
Yeah, but it's unfortunate if we live in it, because they asked him briefly. I watched his Reale's interview on Dan Patrick this week, and they asked him something about the politics and the stuff.
Yeah,
and he said, all we've done is let people talk, like you said, on the last word, and I don't hit the mute button.
No,
he's like, I'm not making a statement. ESPN's not making a statement. So it's kind of sad to me if we can't, and I'm not accusing you of this.
No.
If we can't, as a society, let individuals say, this is how I feel.
Yeah.
And say, like you just did, oh, that's Kate Fagan's take.
Yeah, I mean, I couldn't disagree more, but I love Kate.
Right.
Like, whatever.
That's fine. That's not that to me. If that's a reason we can't watch television, the last word. Thank you, Scotty B. If that's a reason we can't watch TV anymore, like, that's just sad to me. But
yeah. I do think.
But part of what's fun, again, part of the fun of this show is you're getting to know the journalists.
Yeah.
And so, like, some of them have takes we disagree with politically or otherwise.
Yeah.
But, like, these journalists were allowed to come on to the biggest sports network in the world, give their opinions, share who they are. And I feel like most of America, especially my age, who grew up with Woody Page on there every day, we feel like Woody Page is our crazy uncle.
Oh, for sure.
And it's awesome. Like, I don't think journalism has been highlighted on a national level like that in many places. I think maybe 60 Minutes in a sense or some other, but in terms of sports journalists writing around the country, it's just the death of that era, right? As we move more into influencer YouTube era.
I think there was also, and this happens a lot in sports media today, and I've even been party of this on the right end or the wrong end. People really aren't cutting their teeth before they're going right on television. So, and what I mean by that is, as a kid growing up watching the sports reporters on ESPN, right? It was Dick Schaap, Jackie McMullen, Bob Ryan, Mitch Albom. These are guys who had been writing for decades at the time. Right. And had been in every locker room. I mean, they knew everything about everything, at least appeared. And they were such blowhards in an affectionate way that it certainly appeared that they did. I think that the new, they putting people on there Sarah Spain, let's say, just for a bad example, for instance, 2 years, 3 years out of college, putting her right on the air. I felt like there was a little bit of, okay, if now you're going to get these people who are coming, go tell them on the Mount style with whatever they feel, whether it's sports or whether it is politics, that there's and this is I'm just giving you the devil's advocate. There's a sticker shock or an eye test that isn't passed there because some of these people were so young. So I believe there was a disconnect, and I think at some point it got, and I don't like this term, it got labeled as woke, and I think that was the death nail, and it's everything that you're not talking about, by the way. You are talking about the good stuff. Yeah. And why you loved it. But I think from a broader stroke, right, I think that's what happened at the show.
Well, I think that's
your rebuttal. What do you have?
My rebuttal is, A, I think that's unfortunate. B, ESPN has never had a problem with other hosts and other shows making opinions known about whatever, the politics of the day. So, I don't know that that's reason to cancel a show at ESPN based on precedent. But mostly, I would say I would encourage everybody. By the way, everybody, anybody watching, go watch any of Reality's interviews this week.
He's an amazing guy.
Or read that Washington Post article because he gets asked all of this, everything you just mentioned. He gets asked about, hey, you're bringing on some influencers now, not just the journalist. Hey, I think Dan Patrick again. That was a 40-minute conversation. Asked him hey, so some people say you talk about politics too much and you've gone woke, blah, blah, blah. And he responds to that. So, I can't respond as well as he can respond. But I found his answers to be, exactly what you want to hear if you're ESPN or if you're a viewer.
Okay.
Anyway.
You mentioned our boy Kalashaw.
Yeah.
Who was your, do you have an underrated favorite? Somebody who's not maybe quite the household name, not the J.A. Adonde, but somebody.
Oh man, I like J.A. Adonde. Hold on.
I love J.A. Adonde.
Let me look at my list here again, and I'll tell you because
I'm looking at some of the names.
When I was a kid growing up watching, Kalashaw was my favorite just because I was living here in Waco and he was up in Dallas.
T.J. Simers, Jay Mariotti. Now Mariotti was amazing.
He was,
and he got in some domestic thing.
Yeah, he got
and he disappeared. He was so excitable and always had good points. The Chicago thing came through. His eyebrows, I remember being what the hell is going on with those?
Yeah.
But it was theater every day, and it started off with Max Kellerman as the host, and Kellerman did a fantastic job. Remember, Reality was Stat Boy for. Yep. And to me too, that was one thing. It wasn't like ESPN or anybody asked me to pick a side, but I was so head over heels for Pardon the Interruption that that was my.
Well, and they're keeping that one.
Yeah, of course they are.
Well, I would say they should keep this too.
Oh,
so I will tell you the two, and you may not like either of these people on the show. The two that I really like, looking through this list again, and besides the big names, right? I love Jackie McMullen. I love Tim Kalashaw. Woody Page is a legend. I really, and I've told you this before, I think Mina Kimes is just so good every time she's on TV.
She's amazing.
So good.
Yeah.
Like by far to me the best woman in the space who freaking knows football.
Dude, she's done. I was lucky enough to go visit my brother a couple years ago when it was Rams preseason, and she was doing she was doing analysis. She was like the
so
color
good.
analyst in the booth for Rams preseason games, and she was awesome. My brother Kev loved her.
Yeah.
Like she's really really good.
I would say Mina, and then the other one that I don't know what he's doing anymore because that show with Jamel Smith was so bad. I like Michael Smith.
Yeah, he was great.
And when he was on Around the Horn, he was always really entertaining.
Yeah, he was.
as well.
And the thing about Michael Smith, like Michael Smith, there's a line with Michael Smith, like he would really get pissed. Like he would go into the red. Like if somebody would challenge him, and like it's funny, it goes back to like the RG3 Ryan Clark thing.
Gosh.
Like if he sensed like you were at all drifting towards like the personal space, he would like just shut you down. And I used to think like this guy's a badass. And Michael Smith is a great example because as young as he was thrust into the Patriots locker room as a beat reporter for the Pats, like the Bill Belichick Patriots. So like you want to talk about a guy who earned his stripes.
Right.
And that was a bummer what happened to him and Jamel Hill with that Sports Center on the 6.
Let's check in with some comments.
Is King there?
King is here.
He is. Okay, let's do some comments, and then we'll get to the great King McClure.
We'll get King McClure. So Scotty B says Tony Reale will be fine. He will find somewhere else. I'm confident he will do something. I hope. He was talking about
he's going to be fine.
He was talking about he's looking at like game show hosting. I really want to keep him in the sports world somehow, some way. I hope it's a sports gig. Bear the Truth, I think, got mixed up for a second. Not to call my boy out, but he said, I'll miss Wilbon. PTI is sticking around.
We're still good,
We're just losing Around the Horn. So Wilbon is safe, I think. And then real quick before we hit the break, Pete, respond to Scotty B here. He says, wouldn't it be insane and funny if Texas doesn't make the College World Series while Texas Tech does? Texas Tech won 3-0 and Texas lost 7-4 in softball.
Oh, so we're talking about, look, they're going to. I watched Nyjah Kennedy yesterday. It was a joke, man. It's a smoke show.
She's so good, dude.
She is so good. And the best part about it was, they played Florida State yesterday. She shut them out, 3-0. But she is like riding the hype train. It is so cool to see how fired up she gets. She just dominates. And I think that you're in a position now where you just ride her. Like Jerry Glasgow, their coach, will just ride that $1.25 million arm all the way to Oklahoma City and hopefully to a championship. I'm hoping Texas Tech wins, especially since this morning, I know yesterday afternoon I saw the news and I was pissed that Darion Williams is going to NC State. So Will Wade is at it again, and we're going to talk to King McClure about what's going on in the Big 12 transfer-wise, the college basketball-wise, and more. So the great King McClure is coming up. The Pete Sousa Show, presented by Slovacics. I stopped by Slovacics yesterday, by the way. Lights out experience once again. Go to Slovacics in West. We'll be right back. We'll be right back after these quick words from our sponsors. This is Rogue Media Network.
Get ready for epic savings at Best Buy. Right now, you can save up to $700 on select Alienware and Dell gaming products. Perfect for leveling up your gaming experience. Plus, grab the latest Android Google Pixel at an unbeatable price. Don't miss these incredible deals. Shop now at bestbuy.com and upgrade your tech today. Get paid faster with Bill, the easiest way to send, receive, and manage your payments. No more delays, no more hassle. Whether you're a freelancer or a business, Bill makes payments seamless and secure, simple, fast, and reliable. Sign up today at Bill.com. Overwhelmed by your inbox? Clean Email is here to help. Organize, clean, and manage your emails with powerful automation tools. Say goodbye to spam and clutter and enjoy a stress-free inbox. Try Clean Email today at cleanemail.com. That's CLEAN email.com. Easy Sun has been living fearlessly under the sun since 2016. Born from sailors' need for convenient sun protection, our mineral sunscreen is crafted with natural ingredients offering broad spectrum protection against UVA and UVB rays. Safe for your skin and the environment, stay protected on the go with Easy Sun, your ultimate sun care solution. Visit EasySun.com today. That's EEZYSUN.com. Stay connected no matter where you are with eSimex. Say goodbye to expensive roaming charges and physical SIM cards. With access to over 200 global carriers, we make mobile connectivity seamless and affordable for travelers worldwide. Join the future of communication today at esimx.com. That's ESIMX.com.
And now, back to our show. There he is, America's favorite basketball analyst. What's up, King?
What up, my guy? How you doing?
I'm great, man. You look good, dude. You look good.
Trying to. Only Pete Sousa can get me to come talk college basketball in my off season.
Well, you know, and I'm going to start off with, you're probably not going to like this, but I always like to shine a light on just how amazing you were as a player. So I was looking this morning. So you were ESPN had you ranked 36 coming out of Dallas, top 100, right? So we're talking one of the absolute best players in the country. And I think one of the Boozer kids is ranked 36 now. Now, this dude's going to college probably for like $1 million, King. Like, think about that. Like, if you were coming out of Dallas, Texas today, you'd be getting $1 million probably.
Listen, Pete, there's so much resentment in my heart right now. The fact that I was so close to all of this, Pete, and the way that the market is, just like a very decent player is making over $750,000.
Yes,
it has to eventually correct itself. But I'm really upset, Pete. I'm not gonna lie to you. I'm hurt. I could be living in a way different situation. I could be in a way better place in life right now with about.
Take it, dude. We get you like 4 nights a week college basketball season on ESPN. So we'll take it. The people win once again.
Yes, sir.
I want to find out what you think about some of the movement this offseason. It really is. It's the offseason, but it feels like it never is. Yesterday, I was bummed to see Darion Williams leaving Tech, going to NC State. What are some of the most impactful moves? Maybe that is it that you've seen this offseason. Players coming and going in the Big 12.
Yeah, I mean, I think that was a huge move, and just knowing the type of guy Grant McCasland is I think a part of that was just like, hey, we already filled your spot in. We already built our roster. We already spent your money. You weren't 100% committed. Grant McCasland is big on loyalty. So if you're 1 foot in, 1 foot out, you can just stay out because we're going to go get somebody else to go be a part of this who wants to be a part of this. So I thought it was very, very interesting for a guy like Darion Williams to hit the transfer portal, especially after the year that he had, after the year that they had. They have a legitimate chance to run it back, to go compete for a national championship when you were good last year, but you're even better this year with the pieces that they've added. So they have a legitimate chance, even without Darion Williams, to go compete for a national championship. Inside the Big 12, some of the biggest transfers, I think Baylor did a really decent job. I don't think Baylor will be great, but I think that they will be good. I think they will be more fun to watch. I think you got a whole bunch of guys playing in Baylor jerseys who actually mean something to them. You know, I think that's a major difference when you look at last year's program or the past 2 years versus this year. I think you have a bunch of guys who are going to take pride in being Baylor Bears, and as a former Baylor alumni, that's all we want. We want people who want to be in the jersey, who want to put it on, who want to go out there and compete for the university, and who are going to give their 100% effort no matter what. It doesn't feel like these guys are just being rented for a year. This actually feels like a true culture, a true team that I think that Coach Drew will be able to build, especially starting, they get down there, next week, next 2 weeks. So I think Baylor probably, to me personally, Baylor and Tech stand out from a transfer portal standpoint.
You were obviously very close with Coach Drew, and I know I'm not asking for any big secrets, but I know you've been around the coaches' offices while they're making moves this year, really completing an absolute and total overhaul. What is the mindset as you understand in those basketball offices? Like, was there a pivot this year, King, to like, hey, we have got to find the guys that we can develop in our system that are Baylor Bears, right? That are going to buy in.
Yeah, I think the mindset is the realization that as a Baylor Bear, we don't have the same funds. We can't drop the same amount of money that other programs can, like BYU, Kentucky, Texas. We can't spend the amount of money that they can. We don't have that as a school. So we have to get guys who fit the culture. And I think that for so long, the past 2, 3, matter of fact, I'll go back to when we had, Jared, Davion, Maceo, even before this NIL mess was crazy. I think that we kind of got away from who Baylor was. What brought us success was the joy motto. And some people say it's corny, but I think it actually is real. And I think that's what Coach Drew prides himself on. And I think that right there is what got them success. The Jesus others than yourself. Being selfless, playing for something bigger than just you, playing for the front of the jersey instead of the back of the jersey. I'm not saying we've had guys who play for the back of the jersey, but I just think that Coach Drew went after big names and hoped that they would hit. And more often than not, they didn't hit. So I think that his philosophy and the staff's philosophy this year was, let's just get guys who want to be here, who are going to give 110% effort every single time. That's why you see when you look at the roster and look at the transfers that they've gotten in, have they had one big name? The biggest name that they brought in was Rataj. And yeah, he was really good. But Obi's a good name, but he wasn't a huge name, a huge hit. And part of that was due to Rob Wright's ability to leave whenever he left, which is a whole different story that we probably shouldn't even get into.
Wow.
But if Rob would have left and would have told Baylor that he was leaving sooner, they probably would have been able to get at least one big name. But Rob put him in a horrible predicament. And I don't think it was really Rob, but I think it was the exterior people around him. However, I will say though that getting back to that culture and being able to build a culture is, I think, what we saw with Coach Drew and what he's trying to do this season, which is not going to be the sexiest thing, but I think it will produce the most success and get Baylor basketball back to Baylor basketball.
At the end of the day, winning is pretty sexy, right? And that is the ultimate goal, right?
Yeah.
We got to go. You're taking me in a perfect direction here, because I do want to ask about BYU, but I can't ask about BYU without asking about Rob Wright, a dude that I know I loved, I know you loved, and Coach Drew loved. How much of a haymaker was that to the Baylor basketball program when, just like that, he's gone? I mean, were they just completely shocked?
Yeah, I think that was a huge haymaker. I think it's not necessarily him leaving. I think people need to understand this. Like, Baylor had no issue with him leaving. It's the timing of when he left. Because if you look at it, there are so many good point guards in the transfer portal that Baylor could have had. Baylor is one of the premier schools in college basketball. It's point guard U. It's guard university. Any guard would want to come to Baylor. So the fact that you leave when you left, when the deal was already done, and granted, there's no, as one of the problems with NIL, there's nothing there's nothing put in place to be able to hold either party accountable. So things like this can happen. You think you have a guy locked in, you got him locked down. Now all of a sudden he's like, I can go get more somewhere else. Let me dip. Bye. Figure it out. And that's exactly what he did, which is one of the biggest problems that we have to figure out. We have to regulate in NIL. So it was the timing of it for me. Like, it was only that. If he wanted to leave, he's a hell of a point guard, Pete. You know that, I know that. He can play. He's one of the best point guards in the country. No doubt about that. But if you already got 1.5, right, and you can go get 3, then do it at the beginning. Don't do it when you did it. That's my only issue. But the whole BYU team is going to be scary. I mean, let's just call a spade, right? When you look at Rob Wright, what he brings to the table, I mean, you look at AJ DeBanster, how good that young man is going to be. And then we can't forget about the glue that holds it together. My man, Rich Saunders, just his ability to be able to be in situations where he will always succeed. He will never not succeed on a basketball court because his game translates to whoever's around him, to no matter his coaches or anything. That's why I think this young man will play in the NBA, because he can shoot the basketball, he can get to the rim, he can drive a closeout hard, and he gives 110% effort. I mean, that big 3 right there, and you have Kata at the 5 spot still holding it down, protecting the rim threat, man, they're going to be tops of the Big 12, no doubt in my mind.
And 2 of the big 3 are, like, you could consider them like crafty vets, right? Like Saunders, and then certainly Rob Wright is tested. What do you make of Kevin Young's work, like, cut out for him this year? How does he, because now I feel like, if you could say it, the pressure is on a little bit, right? I mean, everybody's going to be looking at this program. Everybody's going to be expecting them to do outstanding things. If AJ DeBonsa struggles out of the gate, there'll be all kinds of blah, 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 blah. So how do you think he approaches this year?
Yeah, I mean, I think he approaches it like he always does. I think that this year will be more similar to his years in the NBA. Because if you think about it, I mean, you always play on prime time when he was dealing with Kevin Durant, he's dealing with Devin Booker. You have AJ DeBanza. I mean, everything that they do is going to be on the spotlight. But that's what he's used to being part of the NBA, being part of different organizations who had elite level players, who had some of the best players in the world. So I think you treat this year just like he did last year, except just realize this might be more similar to what you have faced in the NBA as far as the pressure, the expectations, the salaries. I mean, when you dealing with a dude that makes $6-7 million in AJ DeBanza, and you got Richie Saunders who probably made 3 to 4, and Rob Wright making 3. I mean, I don't know these numbers for sure, but these are what's being speculated and being thrown out. But this is an NBA level team. You're dealing with the NBA level roster. Almost $20 million as far as a budget goes for your program. You're dealing with you might as well call it an NBA team. So I think that he needs to treat it and approach it just like he would when he was in the league, because I think this is what it is, especially when you're dealing with the amounts of money that BYU was thrown out. But you're right, there is an added sense of pressure, not necessarily because of the focus on this team, but the amount of money that was spent. Whenever you're dealing with people's pockets and they having to come a little bit more out because they want to win, and especially after the year that they had last year, now it's go time. It's time to win. So I think there's a little bit more pressure, but Kevin Young is 100% built for it. He did a great job last year. I think he'll do even a better job this year. He's an amazing coach.
Yeah, what's your favorite thing about him? Covering him this year, being around him. I know he's a favorite of yours. What's the one thing that when you talked to him, you were like, oh man, I would love to play for this guy?
His ball knowledge. He's one of those guys, I kid you not, Pete, before we talking to him, like I said, we talked to him during shoot around or an hour before the game. Like me and him just sit there, I ask him a question about the game, but then my mind goes somewhere else because he says something so deep about basketball. And I'm just like, all right, coach, forget the game. Let me just pick your brain about basketball. Yeah. And we'll end up talking for about 15, 20, 25 minutes. And then we're like, oh, snap, we got to do our jobs, right? But just the ability to be able to talk about basketball so deeply. I mean, his knowledge of the game is something that I really haven't seen too often. But he's been around some of the greatest players in the history of basketball, and he's coached them. So, I mean, there's no doubt, or there's not a surprise. But I think that his in-depth basketball knowledge is probably the most impressive thing. And he's just cool. He's super cool. Just laid back, chill, never ever riled up. Just like, yeah, King, yeah. When he go into the pick and roll coverage, I think that's the best thing for us. Or I think that if we attack that, he's just so laid back and so chill and so cool. He's one of my favorite coaches in the Big 12, no doubt.
Yeah, I can tell. And today's player probably responds to that a certain way. I want to move over now because the landscape is so crazy. I got a couple more questions for you before I let you go. King McClure gets a head coaching job at TCU. Next year, Jamie Dixon retires. So you get and they're like, we're going to make a run at King McClure. He is our JJ Redick.
Pete, can I interrupt? Can we put King anywhere but TCU?
No, it's TCU. It's TCU, okay? Because it makes perfect sense. Because I could see Dixon maybe stepping aside somewhere in the near future. So King, they're like, you're our JJ Redick. Come on, King, you're going to come be the head coach. You take the job because you can't resist the money. So you leave me, ESPN, everybody. We wish you well. So now here you are. How do you build your team at in a Power 4 conference? Plus the Big East, Power 5, whatever. How do you go about making a winner today?
I think first and foremost, it starts with my staff. I think you have to get the right dudes around you. You got to get the right staff. I think that we've seen in certain circumstances, the wrong staff can really hurt you because you can't get dudes in. So the first thing I'm doing, I'm going to go get 4 or 5 guys who I trust, who I think knows the landscape of college basketball. I am going to go get a great staff. That's my first thing. I'm going to get a great staff. Secondly, I'm going to, this is a really tough question. Never been asked this, Pete, but now that you got my wheels turning, I think the way that I would approach it would be you have to get good guards. That's my philosophy. I think guards win. I'm going after the top guards. And then I want bigs who can just play a role. So I think how I would do is I'd get a bunch of good guards, probably like 3 guards who can really, really play extremely versatile. I get a 4-man who can step out and shoot the 3 and play defense, but I don't really need you to do anything else. Just step out, shoot the 3, play defense, all right? That's all I need you to do. And I need a big who can just block shots and is a lob threat. That's all I need, right? I don't need you to go post up. I don't need you to be my dude to go, we run plays for you. We're not doing that. My guards are creating everything off the pick and roll. They're going to be able to break you down. Like, shooting is a key. 1 through 4, you have to be able to shoot the basketball for me. If you can't shoot the basketball for me, you would not step on the court unless you do something at an elite special level. Like, unless you rebound the basketball better than anybody, unless you're an NBA level defender, you better be able to knock down a 3, because spacing is everything for me. My big, you ain't got to do that. If you can, huge plus, right? Huge plus. But you need to protect my rim, and I need you to be able to catch lives off the pick and roll. Don't ask for my basketball. Don't do that, because my guards are going to create. They'll make you look good. They'll get you about 8 points a game off dunks, oops, whatever. And then my bench players are just role players. You just fill a role. But everybody off my bench has to be able to shoot. You got to be able to shoot.
By the way, congratulations. You just won the press conference. So Horned Frogs all over the country are ready for this King McClure era. All right, last thing. We go from your first college coaching job to the NBA. I'm really excited to see, the draft is coming up. I want to have you back on again right before that to really have you handicap it. But taking a bird's eye view from 30,000 feet, I'm sure on draft night you will be in Bristol at ESPN, so I'll have to get you before then. But this is when you kind of hunker down and get your prep going. When you look at the top 5, where do you see VJ Edgecombe fitting in there? Do you think he could go 3 or 4? Because I know the Sixers might like him too. I know Charlotte likes him. What's your insight there?
For me, I'm taking VJ number 3. And then the number 1 pick, is obviously locked up when you look at my Cooper Flag. The number 2 pick, if I'm the Spurs, I'm trading that, because there's really nobody in that number 2 spot that would be an immediate fit. You could try to fit Dylan Harper in there. You could try to put VJ in there. But I'm trading that pick, going to get somebody like Giannis, going to get something, right, that can aid alongside of De'Aaron Fox and Wemby and Stephon Castle. So number 2 pick, I'm probably trading it, but let's say they don't trade it. You have to go with Dylan Harper at 6'5", his ability to be able to drive the lane and create and score the ball at ease. Winning is a little bit of concern for me. I'm huge on winning. If you don't really win, I don't necessarily know if that translates, but he was on a bad team, but he carried that team. I'm not taking Ace Bailey at number 3. Don't hate me, people, but I'm not taking Ace Bailey at number 3. I'm not. Just because we talk about this winning concern. You took a lot of bad shots for the team. You really weren't efficient. You have the upside. I could be wrong, right? He might go on a team and just be the next Kevin Durant. I could be wrong. However, based off what I've seen, the body of work, I'm not taking you at number 3. I'm definitely taking VJ over Ace Bailey at number 3, because VJ showed his flashes that he cared about defense. He showed that he can knock down a 3-pointer consistently. His athleticism is through the roof. He showed that he cared. And even though Bailey didn't have the greatest season, he showed to me that he cared more than a guy like Ace Bailey. Ace Bailey, is he more talented than VJ Edgecombe? Sure, we can say that at 6'9", 6'10". But to me, winning, caring, just the ability to be able to go out there and compete at the highest level every single night and give you 100% effort, that means something to me. So VJ Edgecombe, to me, would go number 3 over Ace Bailey. And then after that, number 5, I love Jeremiah Fears, so you can go there. But let me ask you real quick, what about Demon? He had a great week in Chicago. He did have a great week. And for me, it's all about if he can knock down a 3 consistently. You got to be able to shoot at that point guard spot. His playmaking is elite. I think he will be better service in the NBA than he was in college, just because of the spacing. The spacing is way different. There's a lot more spacing in the NBA. However, if you cannot shoot the 3 or at least be respectable from that distance, it can be tough, especially when you're dealing with better defenders, longer defenders. And last year, the one area where I thought he struggled at times was scoring the basketball, specifically from behind the arc. So I think that if he can knock down a 3 consistently, which his shot does look good, form is there, rotation is good, if he gets at a good set point, I think he has the potential to be a really good shooter. I think it's more so confidence for him because I think a lot of times his struggles, his misses, was from a lack of confidence. But I think if he can perfect that, he's definitely top 10 in my eyes. Definitely
All
top
right,
10.
last question for you. Should coaches in the NBA and college go back to wearing suits or at least like
No.
business casual?
No.
No?
No.
Dude, but
No.
I'm looking at Chris Finch last night. It looks
No.
like a guy that got lost on the way to LA Fitness, man.
Listen, man, like no, because we're in the sport of entertainment. This is basketball. I'm big on. We always talk about players being able to express themselves with the way that they dress and the freedom to be able to express yourself. So if a coach is more comfortable in, I don't know, a polo and some like you, okay, let's not get it twisted. You can't pull up there just in anything, Pete, right? But if you're in a polo and some khakis with some shoes on, nothing wrong with that. Express yourself. Whatever you are comfortable in, be comfortable. People try to get on to me about this all the time because I don't wear suits and ties.
You always look good. I don't care. Like, but you have an elite fashion level that literally you display every time. So it's like you can pull it off because you always look like real fresh. Like some of these guys, they look terrible. And I think that the jumpsuits or running suits are worse. They don't even have to stay in shape anymore because their suits aren't fitted. So all these guys are getting fat as hell too. That's my theory. All right, King McClure, you can catch him next year on ESPN all the time. You can catch him on ESPN for the draft. Of course, he's got a show on the Rogue Media Network. King, I'll send you this file. You can throw it up on your show. Do a little cross promotion. You are my man. See, wasn't this fun?
It is fun. Only Pete Sousa, once again, only Pete Sousa can get me to talk college basketball during my off season.
King, thank you so much, man. Have a great weekend, dude.
All right, you too, my man.
Peace. King McClure, just one of the all-time great dudes, and an all-time great analyst, and it's so much fun to hang with him and make some music there. Obviously, he's got a lot to say about. He's got a lot of opinions, and the dude just loves ball. Like he could have talked forever, Scotty, about building a program. Like he would have gone on forever. And you see his knowledge, like
you make me sick putting him at TCU.
But another thing too, like it speaks to me like his hunger for knowledge, because that's why he loves Kevin Young.
Yeah,
King just loves to talk basketball.
So if we had had a little
different breed,
if we had had a little longer with him, I was going to ask him his on-court formula.
You gotta let me know if you want.
Well, I don't want to interrupt. Y'all were vibing. His on-court formula sounds very much like what Scott Drew has done for several years.
Yeah.
Very much. Especially if you think like 2 years ago, Jalen Bridges at the 4, 3-and-D, 3 guards, just a big man in the middle who can lob and block shots. That is the Scott Drew formula. But Scott Drew is getting away from that formula this year. I talked about it a couple weeks ago when I got to host the show. He's now a bunch of long wing guys. I would say there's been less of an emphasis on three-point shooting for the guys Scott's brought in. It's more athleticism, defense, length. So I'd be curious to ask him, hey, that philosophy sounds like something you probably got from Drew at Baylor in some ways. But now Drew's moving away from that.
Yeah.
And how does he think that's going to affect Baylor on the court this year? I'd be really curious. He did talk well of Baylor's roster.
Yeah.
But there are less true guards and less three-point shooters on this Drew roster than ever before.
Yeah. And I to what exactly what you're saying, like you just kind of made me think back. Like he's getting excited for the season to come for Baylor basketball, but he's also pouring a little water on the expectations. I mean, which is maybe, again, like I will take, as a fan of my team, I will take a lack of hype and excitement, because that's very fun, don't get me wrong, but I will take a lack of hype and excitement going into the season where there's a ton of pressure and the expectations are so high, and I think everybody's on board with me. I would take a run in March, right? Like give me a street fight up until you're done in the Big 12, and then let's get to the Sweet 16. You know what I mean? Like, and I think you go from there, and I think that's kind of what this recalibration is all about. We'll find out. All right, one more block, I guess we'll call it, one more segment. I'm excited. I got some stuff to share with you. I was going to ask King this, but I didn't want to put him on the spot with a weird question. What is more out of control and wild, the Diddy trial or NIL this year? I mean, I don't know. It's a good question, but I'll tell you when we get back after this. Pete Sousa. We'll be right back after these quick words from our sponsors. This is Rogue Media Network.
Level up your game with Corsair, the global leader in high-performance gear for gamers, content creators, and PC enthusiasts. From award-winning PC components to premium streaming equipment, smart lighting, and esports coaching services, Corsair delivers an ecosystem designed for peak performance. Whether you're a casual gamer or a pro, alleviate your setup with Corsair. Shop now at Corsair.com. That's Corsair.com. Corsair.
Farmhounds offers natural treats and chews made with quality products that support family farms, regenerative agriculture, and humane farming practices. Give your dog the best with wholesome, organic ingredients that promote health and happiness. Shop now at farmhounds.com.
At Fullwell, we bring together the expertise of registered dietitians, MDs, and OBGYNs to give you the best fertility support. Our research-backed bioavailable formulas are crafted with your health in mind, ensuring the highest quality and safety. From preconception to pregnancy and beyond, we exceed industry standards with independent testing for harmful contaminants. With our comprehensive practitioner directory, personalized care is always within reach. Fullwell, your trusted partner on your fertility journey. Visit us at fullwellfertility.com. At Mitzi, we believe the right light can transform any space. Born from a third-generation lighting family, we craft beautifully designed, premium lighting that's made to be affordable. Inspired by Grandma Mitzi's eclectic style, we're on a mission to make high-quality lighting accessible to all. Whether you're updating your space or adding a unique fixture, Mitzi has the perfect design for you. Beautiful, well-made lighting without the high price tag. Discover your perfect light at Mitzi.com. That's MITZI.com. Mitzi.
And now, back to our show. Is the Pete Sousa Show, presented by Slovacek's, coming down the stretch, getting ready to start a Memorial Day weekend off. Make sure everybody is safe. These are the kind of weekends I remember back when I was drinking. I was saying off the top of the show, I would kind of go off the grid for about 5 days, and then when I came back up, it was not pretty. So take it easy on yourself. One, don't go too crazy this weekend, and if you do, just remember on Tuesday when you're thinking about taking yourself off the planet that it will pass. Remember this voice, it will pass. So what is crazier, the transfer portal or the Diddy trial? Now, I will tell you, if anybody is taking a second, at the end of their day, let me tell you what I've been doing, okay? Well, and again, last night, this shows to my lack of actual passion for that Western Conference final, which we mentioned off the top was the lowest rated game one Western Conference finals since in 15 years. So whatever that is, since 2010. So I start to do other stuff, and other stuff is let's figure out what the hell is going on with the Diddy trial because it's absolutely out of control. Okay. A good example of how out of control it is last week it was revealed that in 2012, Diddy overdosed on prescription drugs like Oxycontin or something like that. Okay, so let's go through, by the way, his day when he overdosed. Freak off in the afternoon, sex party. I know this is all memory now. Sex party about an hour and a half outside of LA. Who has this appetite for sex? This is all alleged, by the way. Then after the sex party, he goes to the Playboy Mansion. Then after the Playboy Mansion, he comes home and overdoses, okay? Now, the reason I bring this up is because that was the 10th most interesting thing that day at the freaking trial was that Puff Daddy overdosed on drugs and almost died. And by the way, nobody ever heard about it. If you don't think, and I'm not a big conspiracy guy, secret cells, whatever, but I do remember Ray Donovan, right? The show with Liev Schreiber that was on Showtime where he was the fixer. And there's a reason that show Ray Donovan was made. That was born out of something, right? That happened in real life, like most shows and things like that are. And this Diddy thing is I'm wow, there probably really are people out there like the Ray Donovan character. Yesterday, okay? I mean, you cannot make this up. Oh, by the way, so I will tell you where to go to get the best info outside of right here is ABC. If you stream ABC News online, Eva Pilgrim, who used to be an anchor in Philadelphia, now works for like ABC, the network, and she is anchoring coverage. And it's Eva Pilgrim. It's this other reporter who's been outside the courthouse every day. And they have these two attorneys, this one guy, Higginbottom, and this other woman. They're amazing. They break down the trial so well. But it's even better when I get to hear Eva Pilgrim tell me that there was a male escort named the Punisher who was on the witness stand. I mean, again, and forget about the fact that this is a very serious trial, and we don't want to make light of it because it's super screwed up. And the one thing that worries me about this whole trial is that this stuff that's so salacious that I'm talking about, like, I got to give Cassie some props here because to be a victim and to step forward has got to be so hard. And when I see everything about her life that's being put into the court of public opinion and not just this legal court, it's kind of wild. But it is like every day it's something crazy. Yesterday we learned that Puff Daddy couldn't stand the ketchup that was overseas, so he had his personal assistant like always take like a shitload of Heinz 57 wherever they went. Kid Cudi testified that Puff Daddy threw a Molotov cocktail into his car, tried to blow it up. And apparently, this is all, you can look this up, and then apparently Puff thinks that he broke into his house and tried to send a message to him. Like, the story gets crazier and crazier and crazier. And yeah, it's almost like you watch it, I'm like, I can't believe this is real. Like, what is next? So I guess that's it. That's my little Diddy trial rant. But it was way more interesting than the Western Conference Finals, even though it's like a delicate situation. I don't want to sit here and laugh about it because it's very serious. But, I mean, when they start talking about dudes named the Punisher, and I'm watching Eva Pilgrim try to, like, weave this in, because she knows as a news person, if she says off the top of this segment that I got a male escort called the Punisher, everybody at home is like, okay, yeah, what else? Right? But, like, you know, if you just say the male escort, you know, Michael Wright, it's a little different. So they know what they're doing on network news. All right, we know what we're doing. We're going to step aside. Enjoy your Memorial Day. We will be back on Tuesday. Everybody be safe. And, you know, thanks for joining us. Remember, like and subscribe. We are really experiencing some success, and, you know, we're getting some heat, and I really appreciate everybody that's involved in that. Scotty Swingler, of course, boy, he is a key cog in this wheel of somewhat success here that we'll keep rolling. Zach Burke, also with us today. Matt Mosley likes to call him Z. Hey, Z, what's going on? And by the way, in that Brett Favre documentary, last thing I'll say, Ed Werder's like a key, like, he is literally sitting there with Brett Favre asking him all the tough questions, like, are you going to retire? Favre's like, I don't know. You know, we did that every goddamn year for like 4 years. All right, we'll be back on Tuesday. Enjoy your Memorial Day. Thanks to Slovakics.
It's the Pete Sousa Show. Sports.
We definitely love our relationship and love Extraco. It's been an amazing experience.
They made the PPP process easier. They were reaching out to me saying, what can I do to help you? That made a huge difference because my stress level, when we shut down, to afterwards was night and day.
Our experience with Extraco has been phenomenal since the very beginning, so we love Extraco.
Nobody tells our stories better than our clients.
The difference is stark. I was rear-ended at 70 miles an hour. I was injured, had a concussion. The insurance company, they delayed. They were playing games from the initial conversation. They weren't going to help me. The biggest thing I learned through this is that you can't go through this alone. I called Daniel Stark. They were going to help me, and everything was going to be all right. Daniel Stark got me 10 times the insurance company offered.
The difference is stark.
We are Rogue Media Sports.